Out of Sri Lanka's foreign debt exceeding $35 billion, the official creditor committee, co-chaired by India, Japan and France, agreed to restructure $5.8 billion during discussions in Paris. In addition to the co-chair countries, the official creditor committee includes the United States, Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Germany, Korea, the Netherlands, Spain, Russia, Sweden and the United Kingdom. China is not part of the official creditor committee. Although they participated as observers in the discussion, the restructuring of debt provided by the China Exim Bank was agreed upon separately. Consequently, China agreed yesterday to restructure $4.2 billion of debt. How will the debt repayments be structured following this agreement? The President provided an initial explanation of this during the address to the nation yesterday.
මේ එකතාවයන් සමග විදේශ රටවල සියලු දෙපාර්ශ්වික ණයවාරික ගෙවීම 2028 වසර දක්වා කල් දමා ගැනීමට අපට හැකි වේවි. ඉන්පසු සහනදායි කොන්දේසි මත සියලු ණය ගෙවා අවසන් කරන්නට 2043 දක්වා දිගු කාලයක් ලබා ගන්නටත් අපට අවස්ථාව ලැබේ. 2023 වසරේ අප දේශීය ණය ප්‍රතිවගත කරන කටයුතු අවසන් කළා. දැන් විදේශීය රටවල දෙපාර්ශ්වික ණය ප්‍රතිවගත කරන කටයුතු සාර්ථකව අවසන් කර ගැනීමට අපට හැකි වී තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට අපට තියෙන්නේ විදේශීය බැඳුම්කර හිමියන්ද ඇතුළත් වාණිජ්‍ය ණය හිමියන් සමග එකඟතාවයකට එළඹීම. මේ මාර්ගයෙන්ම ඉදිරියට යාමෙන් අපට එම එකඟතාවය ඇති කර ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ පිළිබඳ සාකච්ඡා අප අඛණ්ඩව පවත්වාගෙන යනවා.
The official creditor committee for Sri Lanka has announced that it expects Sri Lankan authorities will continue to engage with their private creditors to find as soon as possible an agreement on terms at least as favorable as the terms offered by the OCC. These engagements will ensure that the overall debt treatment granted to Sri Lanka is consistent with the IMF program parameters. The OCC statement was issued late yesterday following the Sri Lankan government's announcement that a memorandum of understanding was inked in Paris, France, between Sri Lankan authorities and the OCC, co-chaired by France, Japan and India. It added that since the official creditor committee and Sri Lanka agreed on the main parameters of a debt treatment consistent with those of the extended fund facility arrangement between Sri Lanka and the IMF on the 23rd of November 2023, the OCC and Sri Lanka furthered discussions in order to finalize the agreement in a memorandum of understanding. The OCC also continued to engage extensively with the Sri Lankan authorities, the IMF and the World Bank, as well as China and Sri Lanka's private creditors, in order to ensure comparability of treatment. Yesterday, the OCC and Sri Lanka finalized the MOU based on the main parameters of the debt treatment agreed in November 2023. The progress on the MOU had enabled the IMF staff to present the IMF Executive Board the second review of Sri Lanka's EFF arrangement and thus opened the way for approval of the third disbursement under the arrangement. The OCC commends the Sri Lankan authorities for their continuous efforts in implementing the reforms necessary for their country's return to a sustainable path. The OCC now looks forward to receiving from Sri Lanka all information necessary for the OCC to ensure comparability of treatment. The International Monetary Fund has welcomed the announcement of Sri Lanka's finalization of its debt agreements with its major official creditors. Peter Brewer, Senior Mission Chief for Sri Lanka, said the finalization of the debt agreements is a key milestone and takes Sri Lanka one step closer towards completing its debt restructuring and restoring debt sustainability. He said the IMF hopes that there will be a swift progress on reaching agreements with external private creditors in the near future. India said that they will continue to support Sri Lanka's economic recovery, including by promoting long-term investments in the country's key economic sectors. The Indian External Affairs Ministry in a statement said that the official creditor committee for Sri Lanka signing the Memorandum of Understanding on debt restructuring yesterday is a milestone that demonstrates the strong progress made by Sri Lanka in stabilizing its economy and moving towards reform and growth. The Indian External Affairs Ministry said that as one of the co-chairs of the OCC, along with France and Japan, India has been steadfast in its commitment to the stabilization, recovery and growth of the Sri Lankan economy. This was also demonstrated by India's unprecedented financial support of $4 billion to Sri Lanka. India was also the first creditor nation to convey financing assurances to the IMF, which paved the way for Sri Lanka to secure the IMF program. China says that it stands ready to work with relevant countries and international financial institutions to support Sri Lanka in realizing debt sustainability. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning, speaking to reporters in Beijing, said the Export-Import Bank of China was the first to tentatively agree with Sri Lanka on debt treatment, which has been crucial for Sri Lanka to advance fiscal reform with further support for international creditors. Japan has welcomed the agreement reached between Sri Lanka and the Official Creditor Committee, co-chaired by India, Japan and France, on the Memorandum of Understanding of Debt Restructuring for Sri Lanka. Japan has played a leading role in the process of debt restructuring for Sri Lanka, including by launching the OCC in April 2023, which is the first framework to coordinate between Paris Club countries and non-Paris Club countries on debt restructuring for middle-income countries. Japan's Finance Minister Suzuki Shinichi said that it is a landmark achievement to finalize the MOU with Sri Lanka under this framework and hopes that this could be a leading case for future debt restructuring for middle-income countries. Japan expects Sri Lanka to implement debt restructuring with other official bilateral creditors outside of the OCC and private creditors in a transparent and comparable manner.